This is the What Do You Really Do podcast with your host, Dr. Santo Riva. Dr. Santo talks to kick-ass business owners, doers, and creators to learn what it's really like in a day in the life of. Dr. Santo is the owner of Victory Performance and Physical Therapy in Culver City, California. He's the creator of the Victory Method, which has helped hundreds of people get out of pain and back to their normal lives, and he is hell-bent on putting the care back into healthcare.
I had the opportunity to talk to Charlie McNeil, owner of F45 Training in Culver City, and who is truly a light of inspiration. We talked about community and community wellness, how he plans to give back during this time, his new venture, Kinetic Energy Management, which I'm sure is going to change the face of wellness in Los Angeles, and how he and his team were able to quickly adapt to the COVID crisis. This is a very time-applicable episode, and I'm excited for you guys to take a listen. Charlie McNeil here in the studio of the What Do You Really Do podcast. Charlie, can you tell us a little bit about who you are?
Thanks, Santo. Great to be here with the doc in the house. I am a current owner of F45 Culver City, looking to add more studios to the portfolio, and also recent developer and creator of the brand Kinetic Energy Management.
Kinetic Energy Management. All right. I'm excited to hear about this new venture. But tell me how you got into F45.
F45 was introduced to me by a good friend of mine, Chris McAdam. I think he was a guest of yours previously. He started the first location in California, and that was in Santa Monica, and fell in love with the class after one session. Actually, after a half a session, reserved a territory, came out at a halftime break thinking the whole class was over. And when I found out it wasn't over, number one, I doubled down on the idea that I knew I wanted to be involved in F45. And number two, I had to make sure I had to get all the vomit off my face before I came back in. So,
For people that don't know what F45 is, tell them. Give them a little idea about it.
F45 is functional 45-minute training. It uses functional body weight movements as well as resistance training 7 days a week to allow people to come and train, and is probably the most accessible yet most diverse training program I've been introduced to in my time on this planet. So I figured it was a good time to get involved in the wellness space when there's something so eclectic as F45. To be able to offer to anybody who's looking to just make a major shift in their life.
And they're an Australian brand, correct?
Correct. Came out of Australia. The story of F45 on how it grew is pretty interesting. Australia sold out of territories at a certain point, I think in 2015. So that is one of the main reasons they went into the international space, because they just outgrew their native country. And now there's almost 2,200 studios on the map. There's 1,800 that are operating worldwide. And we are just lucky enough to have our space in Culver City and have the opportunity to increase our imprint and our impact.
Yeah, I love it because I just want to I want to get my workout in and be like in and out of the door 45 minutes. Like that is like a true claim. You're in and out of the door in 45 minutes and you work hard and then it's done. 45 minutes for me in my short attention span, like 45 minutes to work out and like push yourself. And in your studio, I mean, it's always full of people and like there's a lot of energy there. So I've been stoked on it. But anyways, okay, so F45. So you started as a member.
Mm-hmm. Started as a member, became a trainer after I was invited by Chris to join the family. And once I saw how positively you could impact 36 people per class, 27 people per class each day, it just triggered a totally different path for my career, for my life. I saw people thriving in an environment they hadn't thrived in before, didn't think they could thrive in before. And making that accessible to anybody became kind of the new mission. And with the F45s that we're going to be opening throughout our life cycle with the business, it really is about how do we bring this product that has shifted my life and the lives of so many other people to as many different people in the community, in the Culver City community and the LA community and the world community, because everyone needs to do something for fitness, and F45 allows for everyone to get an insight on what high intensity interval training can be, and what it can bring to their life. And with the minimal time requirement, it's such a short piece of everyone's day if they can just show up. My personal mantra is half-ass is some ass. You just if you're just there going through the motions, it's gonna be an experience, and you're gonna feel like you got the best workout you could possibly get in.
So at what point did you say, I'm going to open one of these up? Because that's much different than like, I'm a member. And did you have a fitness background before you became a trainer?
I was in sports, so I played lacrosse up until the professional level. Played LXM Pro for one game back in LXM 949 in 2000. I don't know, back when I first moved to LA, and that was my inspiration for wanting to continue to stay in shape past the college years. And being in a space where I can continually work on myself and then help other people and stay on my own wellness journey felt like a really good alignment for the future. And I had worked myself to the bone in the apparel industry and with a ton of great opportunities in that industry, but I thought it was time for a shift, and it was a good opportunity for my significant other at the time to get in the business. So we said, you know what, helping other people is the mission, and that's what we're going to focus on. And here we are, several years later.
So did you have a business background? You talked about being in the apparel business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I was in apparel for 8 years, negotiating contracts with overseas vendors. So that I would essentially negotiate and ensure we got the best pricing and the delivery made sense. And it's just a totally different world than what I'm in now. And even before that, I was a teacher at a boarding school before I moved to Los Angeles. So I've had a pretty eclectic background. So fitness naturally is the next step after conquering some other industries that I wanted to be involved with. I feeling great to be in a place of impact now.
That's so awesome. Now, from your eclectic background, so you decide, okay, I'm going to open up a franchise. I know traditionally franchises have a lot of support to help people, open them up and be successful, right? I mean, the franchise, they want their franchisees to make them money ultimately. Do you feel like you're well prepared, like when you went into this?
I think I was as prepared as you could be with what we were given from the franchise and just the mentors I had along the way. And I thought we had a huge leg up having gotten the experience early on before opening a franchise. I don't think I would have done it if I hadn't had Chris's tutelage early on in the first studio opening in Santa Monica.
What were some of the lessons right away that you learned?
Care over cash. An attitude of gratitude will help you reach new platitudes. some cheesy one-liners there, but in all honesty, just meeting people where they are and getting those opportunities day in and day out versus, okay, we think this is how it's going to be. And we went into each day of coaching in Santa Monica with the idea that we're going to use this information to help as many people as we can in our studio. So we put everything we could into our training and practices in Santa Monica before opening Culver City. So we felt like we had our coach, we had our mentor in Chris, and that allowed us to move into this space just pretty cleanly and just feel pretty confident that we were going to offer something that was going to be valuable to the community.
Awesome. And so from the day that you guys open your doors, tell me a little bit about how you've grown it to now be the second in the nation in terms of number of members and revenue, et cetera.
Yeah. Well, it started off a little bit slowly. I think I made the cardinal sin early on by hiring people that I loved and that were also passionate about similar things that I was passionate about, but they weren't necessarily industry professionals. So I think that gave us a little bit of a hiccup. But after we had found kind of our tribe in the Culver City community to help lead the community, it took off. I mean, the last year, between the months of March and June, our business doubled. And that was after having each one of the team members we have now for at least 6 months. And that showed us just really how important inspiring your team and just motivating your team can be when trying to grow the business, because you can do so much on your own. You can do as much as you want on your own, but until you find people that are aligned with your mission, your cause, you're not going to have you might not have the ability to grow your impact as much as possible, because you just allow for more voices within your path.
Yeah, that's such a huge, like, 50,000-foot view of how do you run a successful business. Can you go into a little bit more depth about how you found your team or put together your team and how it's gotten you to where you are today?
Yeah. Organic is a huge word in my life, whether it's from food or through finding people that I connect with or finding employees. Our hiring process is about action. So if we see somebody who's aligned with our culture, that's in our studio, that comes in and day out and is dedicated to their craft in the wellness space, that catches our attention. And that's when we knew it was time to add more people to staff. And we saw those people organically showing up in our community for 3-6 months, when they're coming every other day or every day to class. And yeah, some people don't want to necessarily work in the fitness industry and they're happy where they are, but when you do find those people that are aligned, it becomes such an easy transition and they're already involved in the community. People recognize them. People recognize their hard work that they've been putting in class. So they have that respect. They already have that integration within the community, and it allows for just an easier time communicating, like, where we are and what we represent and how we live our lives, because this is a lifestyle business for us. It's not just a franchise where we drop in and walk away. Like, I'm there every day. Most of the coaches that are there every day, whether they're training themselves or they're training classes. So it's totally anybody who's willing to be fully integrated into a lifestyle and wellness shift. Those are the folks that we're looking for. Especially when they're not quite there yet, and they find that edge in their F45 experience, and we can see that transformation, that's really inspiring to be like, all right, how do we keep these people in our community and show other folks, like, this is what the journey can be like for you, from member to employee to owner. I mean, that is an actual natural path that I can see for a lot of people that come into the studio.
I love that. Now, just as being a franchisee, I know that you have, there's certain things that you have to do, but there's also, like, other things that it's like, this is uniquely me in the way that, or you and how you want to run the studio, right? Mm-hmm. Are your core values of your studio the same as F45 in a whole? I would assume they're somewhat aligned, but mm-hmm. I'd imagine that different studios have different core values.
Yeah, 100%. I think just authenticity, and always being willing to, authenticity and engagement are pretty aligned with what F45 has for its core values. However, bring those to the next level, knowing where that might stop with the F45 model, and figuring out how to add more on top of that. That's where we just add a little bit more value to each journey, knowing that it's going to stop at a certain point, and can we take the relationship outside of the studio, and what does that look like? What does that take from us from a time constraint perspective? What does that do for our value of our lives, for our team outside of that? I digress, but yeah.
And how, what sort of things do you do to help keep your team members aligned to your core values?
Checking in with where they are and ensuring that folks are still pursuing their side hustles. I think that's a pretty prevalent theme for most employees in the health and wellness space. It's not always a full-time job for every team member in our community, but yeah, ensuring that there's still some sort of desire to grow outside of the studio space, and having that connection and seeing where people are at each week allows me to see where they're at, to make sure that, okay, yeah, they're able to shine their authentic light during classes this week because they're motivated to do X, Y, and Z. Or, okay, they might need more support from our team, so I'm just going to hear them exactly where they're at, and then I can help work with the rest of the team to help align them with where our values are at, because they might be falling short here in authenticity because they're just not feeling great energy for their classes. So the coach number 2, or the studio manager, or the success coach, they might help pick up the slack and bring the authenticity to the forefront.
Yeah, it's the teams that from all the people that I talk to, and besides just on this podcast, I'm lucky because I get to talk to my patients and clients all the time, successful people. The common theme seems to be around growth, like creating a growth culture where people want to be better than they were the day before.
Yeah.
And it's been cool to see. I follow a lot of your trainers, probably all of them on their personal accounts on Instagram, and it's cool to see the things that they're doing too. And so I know you're not just lip servicing here.
Yeah, and I appreciate that too. And that's we have 3 questions that we ask every team member on one of our software programs, and one of those things is always start out with, what am I grateful for? What can I do to make today great? And what kind of person do I want to be today? And not everyone answers those questions every day, but when people do answer those questions, man, do you get a true insight into like where the teams are at. So with that, I can see how that, like, where we're usually at with those daily questions, it translates over into the social media. It translates over into their lifestyle. I see it in those exact days when people are determined to show up for themselves and for other people, whether it be in the social media space or in our workspace or in their own lives. And man, like the amount of growth we've seen just from the COVID period in the personal lives of our team has been so inspiring, because what they've done with that extra time is really invest in themselves so that they can come out of the back end of all the challenges that we're facing now, like way stronger than they were as individuals, but also as team members.
Is this something that they get like at the start of their shift, they're prompted to answer these things, or
7 a.m. every day, shift or no shift, go for it. See what's inside.
I love that. That's awesome. Yeah. That's super cool. And it's cool to know that that you read them, that you care enough to actually.
For sure. Yeah, well, there's little like we use Basecamp as a software platform, and it has little boosts, and you can give them emoji support whenever possible. And it's just having that at the end of the week. If I'm having a tough week and I need to get realigned with what we're trying to do, I read their motivation. I read where everybody else is at, and that helps me reset where I'm coming in, because it's just, no matter where my head and whatever story I'm creating that's their truth, and I can't deny that.
So, okay, you started talking about the COVID period, and depending on when whoever the listener is listening to this, you might not know from Charlie's upbeat energy right now that like we are now, how many months has your studio been closed for?
Over 3 months now, closed. Yep.
And when I say the studio, I am talking about the physical location, because I know that you and your team has been able, like, right away flip the script and very solution oriented. Talk to me about how that's been going, and what's the changes and the challenges and and the opportunities that have come out of this for you and your team, and the community too, because you can't discount what it means to have a solid foundation for people that are going through this super time of uncertainty.
Yeah.
To be like, they still got me, they still care about me, they're still here, they're still showing up, they didn't just roll over.
Yeah. Well, neat story about that is we had a meeting the Monday all this was going down, and before we even had our meeting, our coaches posted the first workout they could online. So we knew they were game to figure out something in the digital space. In addition to that, when all this happened, we posed the question, hey guys, if we were to create a new business and get it started in 2 weeks, what would it look like? And then how do we do that in 24 hours? And the team was behind that, and every day was a lesson on how to facilitate, continuing on how to listen to our members and what they're looking for. How do we engage? How do we reconnect? How do we find new value in this space that literally none of us have been in before? And they all did that. And they brought each of their unique characteristics, whether it was Oscar's dressing up in a costume on for Saturdays, taking people through walks in the neighborhood, where some classes you're getting spotlighted as a member instead of the trainer facilitating the exercises. We get to highlight a member that's really kicking butt in a class, and show the community how much we genuinely want to connect in every space. And it's not just about this meeting us in the studio. And it kind of opened the playing field of like, okay, guys, this truly is a lifestyle business because we're all in this life together and we have to shift. Everyone has to shift right now. So we're all on board, we'd like for everyone to be on board, and they all brought the energy to facilitate that process. I haven't taught one class, and I used to love teaching classes during this whole COVID experience. And to see how much success from, we lost 50% of our members, but most studios lost 100% or, 80%, 90% of their members. And to maintain 50% of our membership base during the greatest crisis that our generation has ever known, and that this country's known since World War II, I think is pretty unique and pretty cool.
That's awesome. Any other things born out of this whole period?
Yes, absolutely. The recent events that we've gone through with the tragedy of George Floyd and just the pain our country is in, we are searching for ways to connect and re-engage and figure out a way to show our voice and that we're doing our part, because I don't think I'm alone in thinking that we just weren't doing enough and we weren't recognizing what life is really like for some of the people in our community. So with that, we're creating programs where we can reach out to underprivileged or underserved areas. We're also coming up with ways to connect with our community to lower membership rates for those that are willing to give back, because it just, I know the shifts that I went through during all this, and I can't, and I feel like I have a really strong practice in place to be grounded and to make my way through this. And I just know that not everyone has those faculties at this point, and we're just going to try to shine and show what we do, and see how that goes, and just see what impact we can have outside of just that gym space, because it's just it isn't enough. Let's be honest, like, we're not doing enough. And what does that mean moving forward? I don't know, but we're gonna fucking try something. Pardon my French.
Yeah, leadership through example, like it's exemplary. So I appreciate you.
Appreciate
and
you,
I'm
brother.
excited to see how you're gonna do this, and we're all on board to help support. I want to talk about your new company, Kinetic Energy, and I think that some of this, with what you were just talking about, also flows with this idea of being able to lead through example and help people that want to help people more.
Yeah.
I don't know if that made sense.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, the mission for Kinetic Energy Management is to serve other light-leading individuals and those that want to connect as much as they can with the with the community that they're engaged with, and we're trying to find ways constantly to deepen that engagement. And how do we share that with the other wellness modalities that we have integrated in our community? I mean, the Washington Boulevard alone in Culver City has, at least over 20 wellness businesses, and 10 of those of which we work with directly. And how can we create a unified voice to show that it's not about physical therapy or functional training or range training, or there's this bigger picture of trying to create this well-rounded practice and understanding of what you have available to you and how your wellness path can roll out for you, your journey specifically. And we just have this beautiful space in this beautiful city to show people how much we care on every tier, not just the one area. So Kinetic Energy Management is here to bring forward attention to all those businesses that are going to improve the quality of life of individuals on this planet. Like, I don't want to go to bed any given day knowing that I didn't give it my best shot to change someone's life.
It's wow. Yeah. I mean, I don't even. Sometimes you say things and then it just really like sets me back, Like, I just don't even know what to say. But it's amazing, and I'm really excited to see how you guys are gonna pull this together. Give me a little bit more, because I'm hungry for this.
Yeah, I think the future holds quite a bit for us. We're going to expand our F45 imprint. We're in the process of acquiring another studio. That's going to continue to grow. Kinetic Energy Management is going to try to facilitate as many philanthropic experiences that connect us to different wellness modalities as possible. So that's coming up. Who knows what that form is going to take, but I am super excited just to share. And what more can we do to be a voice for wellness integration in an area where we all want to be as healthy as we could possibly be, but can we feel vulnerable? Do we have access? Do we know the people that are going to lead us down that path? And I think I know a lot of the wellness professionals that can help a majority of the people in Culver City. And how do we continue to expand that imprint as a group with a unified voice, with a unified mission, and that's it. I mean, like you said, that's where my growth, on top of like our team growing, F45 growing, but as Kinetic Energy Management grows, I think the impact that we are looking to have and continue to have this focus on impact-oriented businesses and tactics will all be shining through that business.
So it's the tide that raises all the ships.
That's the hope, right? I mean, we're just humble enough to be one of the ships. So as long as we can ride the tide with everybody else, we'll feel blessed.
Charlie, who's been super instrumental to getting you here?
Super instrumental. Challenging to talk about a little bit, but just my father passing in 2014 and just his journey as a father of 8 and staying married for over 40 years and giving me that inspiration for understanding my capacity. And my brother James, who passed away last year at the age of 43 of a heart attack, who was obese. And that taught me more just about how to live in, eternal gratitude for where we are, because when you wake up, you don't know what kind of phone call you're going to get, and don't know what that first call is ever going to hold that day, and it could be something tragic, or it could be something inspirational or motivational. It could be a standard run-of-the-mill chat that you're supposed to have that morning, but just being able to know how much I can love and what I can do with the days that I live, that's what I've taken from those two mentors in my life, and that have meant everything to me.
And, oh man. Charlie, so heavy.
It's not a light experience. That's why do you think my spine has so much trouble these days?
No. Oh man. Okay, well, what really excites you about this industry? And excuse me for the why don't we just hold on and we'll just pause this right here. We'll probably need to cut that. I don't even know where to go from there. Jeez, Charlie.
It's
powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot to be buried.
It's life, man. It's a circle of life. My pops passed a couple years ago.
That first one, I think, is you're like, okay, this is how this goes. But you get to choose. That's the first. I feel like that's when my decisions started to matter a lot more, or just it came to me that how important those decisions were, like where you can show up and what those experiences can mean to a person, and gaining the empathy for those that have lost people too. It's just like the range of experiences that I've come into because of those changes and shifts that happen in life. It just allows you to connect with more people, because there's no situation that I don't feel like I'm like, man, I know how that feels, like to get something taken from you or something shifted like instantly in that time. Both those things happen. Like my brother's thing happened over I got a call from his wife at like 3 a.m. I'm like, oh shit, that's not good, but didn't think it was like he's gone type of thing. And my dad was just, I've got back pain, and then stage 4 melanoma 3 months later. So here we are.
Gotta cherish what we got.
Yep.
And it's cool to see how you've taken that to help facilitate your service to other people.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and that's it. I mean, that's what I couldn't. My dad especially was a motivator there. He would just go to these peace rallies on the weekend after we were all out of the house, and just he was always involved in some sort of volunteer activity. I'm like, what? You finally have time to relax and like just enjoy the downtime, and you're going to stand in front of a military base with chains on your body to prove your point. Like that's what motivates me. And like I just when I look at what I was doing just for myself, and you see this one person who already like served his purpose as a father and being to carry the light for all these kids, and it's just like, all right, I'm gonna keep going, like next thing, next level.
Wow.
Yeah.
8 kids, that already makes me like, ugh.
Right. That's what every day I if I'm ever searching for gratitude, I'm just like, okay, I survived my experience with this sibling. Yeah.
What's the best advice anyone's ever given you?
Best advice anyone's ever given me was to love myself. Without that, I don't know. I don't think I would appreciate where I am today. I just kind of move forward, like using the world's expectations to push you through all these challenges. And once I finally started deciding that I'm doing this, I have to do this for myself first. And then once I feel like I'm whole, I can then show the rest of the world what my love for myself is like. And if I can't provide that reflection, then I'm not really able to hold the space that I'm trying to hold. So I've just being in love with my journey, wherever it takes me. And man, some days you're like, this is life. I'm under the impression that every moment and every experience in life is perfectly exactly how it's supposed to be. So coming back to that, and then with self-love, those two things allow for just a constant holding of space, and despite whatever challenges or distractions you might face.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
I haven't played the look 5 years out game at any point in this journey. Okay. Honestly, I think my investors would be pretty upset to hear that, but it's because I'm working my ass off every day. In 5 years, I see Kinetic Energy Management having an impact throughout Los Angeles. I see at least 5 studios in operation from F45. I see growth in the wellness space beyond what anybody could have ever imagined coming back from this COVID-19 experience. And I just see an existence and this experience where we've had over 2,000 people we've gotten to touch the lives of in the last couple of years, whether it's through trials or members. Being able to expand the impact, so, getting to 10,000 people, 20,000 people, like that, and that excites me, because then it's just knowing those micro relationships that I've had with people have expanded out to that level, and it will create a level of fulfillment that I don't think I've ever been able to imagine, but it'll also prove, I think, to all the folks that are going to be involved in this journey how much of an impact they can make. And I would love to inspire that. In 5 years, have inspired all of our team times 3 more tiers of those teams to know that they're the reason for someone improving the quality of their life, because they made it easier for that person to show up every day. And if in 5 years, life, exercise, love, family, if all those things are engaged with greater fulfillment in 5 years, then man, we've done what we've shown up to do.
I love it. Now, do you have either a book or a podcast that you see yourself, that you purchase for people, or you see yourself recommending to people frequently? I don't know if you're a reader. Not everyone's a reader anymore, so I switched that question to add in the podcast part of it too. Yeah, for sure. Well, the What Do We Really Do podcast is on the list now. Oh, yeah, good plug. Thank you. Appreciate that.
But I love a good variety of information, and I don't necessarily like one source. So I'm with Gary V podcast, the Tony Robbins podcast, the Dave Asprey podcast, the Ben Greenfield podcast, as well as the Dave Asprey books that he's written have been really influential in my journey. And what's another one that I think those are, and the GSD show, that's not necessarily, it's more for the fitness industry in general, but it's still been a really helpful podcast that I like to listen to.
Cool. And if you could sit down and have a drink with anybody, alive or dead, who would it be?
Drink with anybody, alive or dead? Gandhi. Just understood his experience and his place in such a unique way through his journey, and I'm still learning a lot more about that path, but just to know that there's someone out there that lived in peace through his journey in his way, and he got to do that for as many years as he did without being assassinated until he was, like, that's an incredible feat in this world. So like, how do we, being able to like get that download from where he's at, to have that interview or just have a conversation, to just feel that energy authentically and in person, because it's just it's something you can read about, but when you meet folks that are totally engrossed in peace and spirituality, it's a different. I've just been so positively affected by that. So to like get to feel that his energy as a healer and as an advocate for peace, I think would be unparalleled.
I love it. Okay, so I want to know what you want to plug, and also just want to thank you for your energy that you've brought to this. I'm just it's contagious, and you've got me smiling, and I'm excited. I'm really excited for people to hear this when we put this out.
Yeah.
So, what do you have to plug?
I just have to plug gratitude for everything that Victory Performance and physical therapy does, as well as the What Do We Really Do podcast. I think this is a unique experience, and what you're bringing to the community, I think, is really useful, and to give any of us a mouthpiece more so than what we already have is a blessing. So I just thank you, and thank you to my business partner John at Kinetic Energy Management, as well as F45 Training, and to all the team there, and my parents and my family. Those are the people that matter most in my life. So that whatever I can do to help uplift their journeys up, here I am to do that.
Awesome. And they can find the studio on Instagram.
Yeah, F45 _ Culver City, I believe is the Instagram. I should probably check that. But you can find us on Facebook.com / F45 Culver City. And you can also find us on F45training.com / Culver City. And also you'll enable us to get into the studio, or that'll enable you to get into the studio and try a class out. And for anybody looking to try a Zoom class online for free, you can use promo code ZOOMME, that's ZOOMME, and that will get you your first F45 Live Zoom class, where you can sweat it out with Oscar, Ashley, Gabby, Tori, and the rest of the squad.
Awesome. And we are rooting for you to be able to open. So the where we are today, Governor said that fitness studios can open on Friday. I don't know if there's guidelines yet for it, and I think that we're still waiting on some city approval stuff. So we're really hoping that Charlie and our other fitness studio partners can open up as soon as possible, because people need it.
Yeah, that's the hope. I think Friday we're supposed to be able to open up, but we'd like to we'd like to go forward with the idea that we're approved from our city and local government, and once we're given that date, we're ready to move forward. And the team is jacked up and super excited to come back, and we're excited to open up in as many spaces as possible now. It's not just going to be the studio, it's going to be outdoors and boot camps, it's going to be still with F45 Live. So not only during COVID-19 did we experience the most challenging time as a business, but we also might be able to grow our business 3x from where it was if we execute and we shine our light.
Well, you're shining your light, brother.
Appreciate it.
Just keep building that community, and I love it. I love what you're doing, so I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
you.
Appreciate being here, guys.